Yes, welcome everyone. Cannabis news with Joe Klare. It is August 15th, 2018. Presented as always by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Click that video tab at marijuanatimes.org to find this show. Also, check out the great articles there by a bunch of great writers and also all of our social media networks. Our link there as well today. We're talking about GW Pharmaceuticals and their new CBD medicine, Epidiolex. You may have heard of it. If you watch the show, you've certainly heard of it. It's a new Food and Drug Administration approved CBD medication. We'll talk about the price. They want to announce the price for that. Coming up, also a new study about how widespread the use of CBD products are, and an update on the medical marijuana program in Ohio, or lack thereof so far. All that's coming up. But first, of course, cannabis news are brought to you by Natureside and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Go to nature-side.com. Side is spelled C-I-D-E. Grow safe and poison-free. Don't use harmful chemicals in your grow. Don't use harmful pesticides. You also want to be regulatory compliant in the state that you're cultivating in. You can do all of these things with Natureside, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. This first story comes to us by yours truly over at marijuanatimes.org. GW Pharmaceuticals announces price for their FDA-approved CBD medicine. As you may or may not know, Epidiolex became the first cannabis-derived drug to get through the FDA approval process. It did so in June. It was finally approved by the FDA. It means the DEA now has to reschedule CBD to at least Schedule 2 so that Epidiolex can be sold in pharmacies by GW Pharmaceuticals. They've announced a price for that, and it's going to be $32,000, $32,500 per patient per year for people who are going to be on Epidiolex. It's mainly an epilepsy drug. It's going to be used a lot for children to control seizures. It had a lot of success in clinical trials. Obviously, as I said, I made it through the gauntlet of the FDA approval process. So Epidiolex will be available in pharmacies in the next few months. Like I said, the DEA has to reschedule it, reschedule CBD. They had 90 days from June 25th, which was the day Epidiolex was approved by the FDA. Now, obviously, that's a lot of money, $32,000 a year, almost $3,000 a month. For families who are not wealthy and don't have insurance, they're not going to be able to afford that, obviously, as I point out in the article. And again, every article I talk about is linked in the description of the video that is talked about in. There's a lot of money, and the reason is obviously GW Pharmaceuticals can charge whatever they want. There's no competition in this area. The only thing that raises the quality of things and lowers the price of things is competition. Without that, and they say that this price is on par with other epilepsy drugs. These drugs are going to continue to be prohibitively expensive for lower income people who don't have health insurance. But I imagine a lot of health insurance companies or a lot of insurance companies are going to get on board with this. I don't know. I may be wrong about that, and they may deny it. At which GW Pharmaceuticals is going to have a problem, because they're not going to be able to sell this unless people have insurance. People aren't going to be able to shell out almost $3,000 a month. Most people are not going to be able to shell that out for a single medicine. But it is the first cannabis-derived medicine to be approved by the FDA. I know some of you may be thinking of things like Marinol, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a doctor, but I believe Marinol, I'm not a Marinol expert either, but I believe Marinol is a synthetic THC and is not derived from the cannabis plant. But Epidiolex is a CBD derived from cannabis. So we continue to follow that story. This next story comes to us from normal.org, is also about CBD. New study says the use of CBD products for health is becoming widespread, which many of you probably know already. Many of you watching this and listening to this probably use CBD on a daily or a less often basis. The use of cannabidiol products for the treatment of either a specific health condition or for general well-being is becoming prevalent among the general public. It's according to survey data published in the journal Cannabis and Cannabinoid Research. Researchers at San Diego State University and the National University of Natural Medicine in Portland, Oregon, surveyed a self-selected cohort of a little over 2,400 respondents with regard to their use of CBD products. The respondents typically ranged respondents typically range from 55 to 74 years in age. 62% of respondents reported using CBD for the purposes of treating a specific medical condition. The top three most commonly cited medical conditions were pain, anxiety, and depression. Almost 36% of subjects reported that CBD treats their medical conditions very well by itself. Only 4.3% reported the substance to be largely ineffective, which is why you see the widespread use of CBD. The fads come and go all the time, and things fall by the wayside because they don't work. CBD obviously works for a lot of people, so it's not really a fad or a trend that's going to go away anytime soon. If anything, it's just going to increase when it comes to the amount of people using CBD products as supply becomes more readily available. Authors included, quote, the use of CBD among individuals for both specific health conditions and general health and well-being is widespread. CBD is being used as a specific therapy for a number of diverse medical conditions like pain and inflammatory disorders, anxiety, depression, and sleep disorders. So good studies, good data about CBD, at least early on in its use. It's only been a couple years really when CBD has been widespread, or the use of it has been widespread. So we'll continue to get more data on that, and of course we'll bring it all to you here on Cannabis News. This last story is from journal-news.com. A little update out of Ohio. Medical marijuana will be ready for testing in Ohio by the end of the year. Hey, how about that? The Ohio medical marijuana program is supposed to be up and running by September 8th. As we told you for quite a while now, that's not going to happen. There's going to be no supply or anything on September 8th in Ohio. Officials and business owners are finding the start of the medical marijuana program in Ohio is taking longer than expected. In June, pharmacy officials announced 56 dispensary licenses where medical marijuana will be sold, but it's unclear when and how much product will be on the shelves for patients. Hint, none on September 8th. Buckeye Relief LLC, the only large-scale grower to receive its operational certificate, told media outlets that it would plant up to 10,000 seeds at the end of July and have product ready for testing by the end of the year. Only 3 of the 26 licensed growers have received their operational certificates from the state, while 5 more have inspections scheduled this month. Of course, nothing happens until the medicine is grown. Only 7 processors have been licensed, while 6 more licenses are awaiting background and tax compliance checks. The state expects up to 40 processors to be in operation. 222 doctors are approved by the state medical board to recommend medical marijuana for patients. So there are some dispensaries, there's some doctors ready, there's some processors ready. The Ohio Board of Pharmacy has not opened the online patient registry as of yet. Ohio Department of Commerce spokeswoman Stephanie Gostomsky said once the state issued grower licenses in November, it was up to the businesses to decide how quickly to build, seek inspections, and begin planning. So basically they're blaming it on the businesses not being quick enough, not any of the problems that have come with the medical marijuana program since it was signed into law in 2016, which is typical. And maybe there are delays among businesses, but there's been undoubtedly been problems in the Ohio medical marijuana program. There's been licensing delays, litigation. Maybe there's thoughts at some point they're going to start the whole process over. It's really been not as bad as, say, Florida or Oklahoma, but it's not been great going in Ohio. And the delays continue, and maybe product can start getting tested by the end of the year to get on the shelves for Ohio medical marijuana patients, at least hopefully for them. Talk about all these stories. We'll continue to follow all these stories and more here on Cannabis News. Thanks to everybody who checks out the show, likes, comments, all that stuff. Check out the video tab at marijuanatimes.org. You can also subscribe by you can search Marijuana Times on YouTube, Vimeo, and Apple Podcasts if you want the audio-only version of the show. Keep spreading the word. Keep sharing on your social media networks, sharing real life. All of that stuff. Help us spread the truth about cannabis with this show. Make sure you check out marijuanatimes.org for all you need to know on the industry, community, and beyond. Thank you to Nature Side, Nature-Side, and their organic, all-natural pesticides for being a proud sponsor of the show. Thank you all for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time on Cannabis News.